What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Webcast Citizen. My name is Mr. Webba, and today we will be going through and talking about the recent events that happened at the Disneyland Resort, the announcements. I know I'm kind of late on it, but that's okay. I have an article here by KTLA5. We're going to bring it up right now. And yeah, we're going to go through this whole thing, dissect it, break it down. And yeah, hopefully this will be a bit of a, fun time right here. So, Disneyland to drop park hopping restrictions, which is great. Later this year, Monsters Inc. ride to stay open into 2027. Okay. I know for a lot of fans who love Monsters Inc., that's fantastic. So, starts by here saying Disneyland Resort is recalibrating operations as it prepares for its next phase of expansion, extending a family friendly attraction, easing ticket restrictions, and refining maintenance strategies to simplify visits while major construction ramps up. Resort leaders said the goal is to absorb years of expansion work without adding friction to the guest experience. Okay, so before we continue on, I just want to say that whole first part of this article is fantastic. And because we've had complaints from the fans and from the normies, about how you have to be on your phone all the time. The experience is not what it used to be, right? And construction walls here, walls there. I mean, sometimes you have construction just everywhere, and it can dampen and hamper the guest experience. And I think that they are, starting to see this. And I mean, of course, right? I mean, you want your guests to have a good guest experience. You want repeat visits, right? So let's go through this. So, as part of that effort, Monsters Inc. Mike and Sully to the rescue at DCA will remain open into 2027. The attraction had previously been scheduled to close in the coming weeks as part of the resort's construction plans, but officials said guests will now be able to continue enjoying the ride into next year. Because remember, last year the resort has said that early this year, 2026, the ride was going to close. And everyone in the community has been kind of waiting and watching. Okay, when is the ride going to close? When is the ride going to close? They haven't announced anything yet. Well, this is why. Because they already had something cooking in the pot, and this is what it was. So, during a media briefing Thursday, so just only a few days ago, Disneyland president Thomas Masloom, if I'm saying that correctly, said the revised timeline reflects a shift in construction sequencing that allows previously announced projects to move forward without closing the ride as soon as originally intended or planned. Which is great because that means that the guests can still enjoy Monsters Inc. Because I know a lot of people love it. It's one of the few dark rides that are still at DCA, even though it's a more of an older model. Now, here's the interesting thing with Monsters Inc. I like the IP and the attraction itself, but the ride system, I don't. I feel that Monsters Inc. is like a newer IP that is put into a old school style of a dark ride. To me, it doesn't mesh really well, in my opinion, but the ride for what they did with it is really good. Although I will say though, I'm kind of jealous that Walt Disney World is getting that awesome hanging, Monsters Inc. coaster. That thing looks dope. Disneyland Resort really needs another big coaster for sure. Um, those projects include an expanded Avengers Campus, which we knew about, right? With the two attractions, a Coco themed boat ride near Pixar Pier, and Avatar inspired destination in Hollywoodland, and the new Eastern Gateway parking and transportation hub. So, of course, here's the concept art that we've all already seen, right? And I will say again, this if this is what they're going for, the look, it looks great. I love it. I love the really big Disneyland marquee like entrance sign. It screams like "Welcome to Disneyland, this awesome, amazing theme park." Right? I mean, come on, Disneyland's amazing. And then it still kind of blows my mind though that the bridge here just goes right over the road and even over the monorail. Like that's pretty high. So if you have a problem with heights, good luck to you. But I do like how this is laid out. It looks really cool. It looks more forward into the future, right? So yeah, awesome stuff. Masloom said the Avatar project will proceed as planned and will not be delayed by the adjustment. Okay, so I want to kind of talk about this. I know there's a lot of people in the community on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever social media page you're on, YouTube. A lot of people aren't really wanting Avatar to be here in DCA in the first place. I will say between Monsters Inc. and Avatar, I would say Monsters Inc. is the much better IP in my opinion. I don't really care for Avatar, to be honest. The story is not interesting. The characters, I don't like the look of the characters there, and they are not interesting at all. However, however, the world of Pandora, the planet, beautiful. I don't know if anyone has played the game. The Avatar game, the when that came out sometime last year or the year before. I think the year before. Anyways, World of Pandora, beautiful. I know a lot of people like my good friend OG55. He's been to Animal Kingdom at Pandora, says it's gorgeous, and I'm sure it is gorgeous. So for me, I've always argued the fact that I would rather see great execution, even though it's for like an IP I may not really enjoy, or that wasn't really well, critically acclaimed. Because as long as you make something great for the product, you execute it well, I don't think people are gonna have a problem with it. However, um, we will see what this remains to be. The concept art that we saw for Pandora for here DCA, it looked promising. I would say it looked promising. I loved how it looked. I love the rock work, the water, looked great. Um, so he continues to say here that he described the Eastern Gateway project with construction expected to begin later this year as foundational, saying the arrival experience helps shape guests' first impressions of the resort. And that's true, right? Because right now, when you go to when you go to the park after you get off the freeway, whether it's mostly if you're coming from the south like I do, and if you get off onto Catella, and then you take one of those roads, and then when you're driving up to where the old entrance used to be on Disney Way. Is it Disney Way? I think it's Disney Way. Um, and then you see Guardians right there, but then you have the old, or you used to have the old Disneyland entrance banner where DCA sits now used to be the old parking lot, where you would park right there, take a little tram, go right to the front, and then even back way in the day, you would just park and walk up to the entrance. So I remember as a kid driving through that little banner, and you're there at Disneyland. But now that's all gone away because we have it's like a park. Now they have to find a way to have a new grand entrance because now that small sign is literally just off of Harbor. You're like at McDonald's or the IHOP there. You walk across the street and it says Disneyland on it. Oh, it's great. It's funny that it's that small. It's like just off on the sidewalk. But anyways, this park really needs a bigger, more impressive welcome to Disneyland, the happiest place on earth, right? um, he says, as we celebrate 70 years of the Disneyland Resort, we're also building for the future by focusing on the relevancy and quality of our products, simplifying the guest experience and bringing exciting new attractions and entertainment to the happiest place on earth. See, and again, this is what I love. They're going back to the guest experience. How does this park, everything from the parking to the tram, going through the gates, right? That's all part of the guest experience to visiting Disneyland or DCA. And you want to make that as smooth and easy as possible. And to be honest, right now, even with like the reservations, there's a lot of normies out there who still do not know about that, who haven't been in years and don't know. I recently just had my Mrs. Webba. She has a friend who wants to go to Disneyland with her husband and daughter. And I told Mrs. Webber to tell the friend, "Hey, make sure that they have a reservation." And she said, "Well, it's a good thing you told me to tell her that because she hasn't been in 11 years and she didn't know you had to reserve the day." And I was like, "I know. A lot of people don't know about the reservations still." And it's just again, it's more hoops you have to jump through. But I get it, for Disney, it's a more convenient thing to have in terms of their data, right? So, but I am glad to see that they are focusing on wanting to make the experience easier for the guests, which I was just, that's a pro guest move for sure. Easing ticket restrictions. All right, here we go. Later this year, Disneyland will eliminate the 11 a.m. restriction on park hopper tickets. allowing guests to move between Disneyland Park and DCA at any time during the day. Under the current policy, of course, you have to wait until 11 a.m. However, if we want to get into the weeds of this, right, this says Park Hopper tickets. Now, we can argue about wording all day long, right? Like with Avatar. Is it a land? Is it a destination? Is it experience? It's kind of all the same thing, right? If you go to a land, you have an experience, you're in the destination of that IP. That's just how I see it. But when I say park hopper tickets, does that include like obviously that's going to include regular tickets, but does that include magic keys or any other type of pass that one may have? I don't know. I hope so, and I think it will. But of course, a lot of people were frustrated with the 11 a.m. thing. And again, back to the guest experience, it's not good guest experience when everybody is trying to go to the same place at the same time, right? I mean, look, we see it with Lightning Lane. This is why Lightning Lane is not, at least as in its current form, it's not the best way to utilize this type of system. Where when a ride breaks down, because we'll talk about the maintenance in a minute. When a ride breaks down, people in standby line are not happy. Lightning Lane people are not happy. And then all the Lightning Lane people come back, and now you have like 5,000 Lightning Lane people all at the same time. Well, it's the same thing here with the 11 a.m. park hopper, like the park hopper situation. Once that 11 a.m. hits, everybody then switch sides. So everybody's just waiting for that 11 a.m. and you're restricted, right? People don't like that restriction. The guests like the freedom, and when you have that restriction, it makes the park going experience a lot more difficult. So I'm glad to see that they will be getting rid of that. However, park reservations, as it states here in the article, will remain in place. Okay. So Masloom acknowledged reservations can be a friction point for frequent visitors, aka magic key holders, but said the system continues to help manage demand. And yeah, exactly. So that's there is pretty much what I was referring to. Disney knows they want to see the numbers. It helps manage the crowds that they want. See, because here's the thing: the reservation system, for those who are not aware, the reservation system is not there to help keep the crowds to a low bare minimum. No, 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 no. The parks are as packed as ever. And Disney knows this, and they want the parks back, of course, right? They want as many people, bodies in the parks, buying stuff, going on rides, and spending money. Of course, right? They're a business. Um, but with that being said, though, is that with this park hopping thing, that will ease the transition, the flexibility for the guests, even though they still have the reservation system. We'll see because you always, like you always say, right? It is it's a slippery slope. But that could be either direction. Usually when you say it's a slippery slope, it's for something that's not good. Well, this is in a good direction. So this is a slippery slope into a good direction of going towards no reservations. And this is the first step, at least in my opinion, of having eliminated the 11 a.m. Park hopper thing. But however, I don't think, at least from what I heard, they haven't announced what exact time frame. Well, time frame, yes, but date, no, no date. But they did say later 2026 from what I saw on Twitter. Um, but anyways, so reservations are staying here for now. So let's see. Quote, our job is pretty simple. We are responsible to ensure that Disneyland can thrive the next 70 years the way it has delighted millions of guests in the last 70 years. Of course, right? I mean, you want the park to be here for another 70 years and for another 70 years after that. Um, let's see. We can kind of skip this. Tier ticket. Yeah, that $104 low day ticket is kind of almost meaningless, to be honest. And I'll say that. I say that because the $104. Yeah, it'll be the cheapest of a single park day ticket. Yes, the problem is, is that tier ticket is only available like what, maybe 3, 4 days of the whole year. So not really much value in that, in my opinion. But you know, kudos where it's deserved, right? Disney they have been offering a lot of like the 2-day, 3-day park deals, right? So it's like what, 60, 70, $80 per day if you break it down. But although I will say, You still buy a multiple tickets of those for the family of 4, 5, 6. You're still looking at almost like $1,000 still, up front. Um, and then oh, here we go. Bluey and Bingo are scheduled to debut March 22nd. So the guys, that's right around the corner. It's soon. And a new Fantasyland experience themed to Bluey's best day ever. Oh, that's interesting. A new 5.99 children's meal will also be offered near the experience. I wonder what food they're gonna have. Hopefully it's good. Because just because they're children, right? I say this about everything, whether it's movies, shows, games, theme parks. Even though a product is made for children, doesn't mean you should skimp on the quality. So let's continue on. Oh, look, there it is. There's Bluey and Bingo. How cool is that? Um, Let's see. Here we go. Masloom said that operational and entertainment changes reflect a broader effort to simplify the guest experience while positioning the resort for future growth. See, and that's good because in a strategic manner, you're wanting to make sure, for example, Monsters Inc. is still open and it doesn't delay Avatar, right? And you eliminate the 11 a.m. park hopper deal. Again, you're keeping the guest experience good and then making it better or to what it was before, right? Now here we go. Refining maintenance strategies. Now this is another big topic because the past few years, a lot of stuff just goes down, man. It does. Um, Rides will go under refurbishment and then they go down. Uh, Indiana Jones, my most beloved attraction. I love the IP. Indiana Jones is my favorite ride ever. And it's the theming, the cue, the story. It is so Indiana Jones ish, or it is Indiana Jones. It's like the perfect ride to movie to ride. It's odd. It's amazing. I love it. But you have to be honest though, the ride goes down a lot. And even recently with Thunder Mountain, that ride just had a refurbishment and it's still going down like twice every other day or it's going down every day. Tiana's, that's a whole redone attraction from Splash Mountain to now Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And again, that ride is having tons of downtime. If you go to DCA, especially on really hot days, I don't know what it is about the heat, maybe the power grid or something that just can't handle the heat with all the machinery running. But you go to DCA in the summer, you will see Radiator Springs Racers down, you will see Incredicoaster down, Midway Mania down, Guardians of the Galaxy down. Like half the park, the rides like get shut down for for some reason. It just can't handle it. But maybe it's not all of that. Maybe it is lack of maintenance personnel, probably, or just not being able to cover things when they should be. Not sure. But let's read on here. As construction planning advances, leaders said maintaining attraction reliability and guest flow has become increasingly critical. Again, attraction reliability and guest flow. If you're not having attraction reliability and guest flow, guess where that goes back to? That goes back to the guest experience. See, this is all about the guest experience, and I love it. I am digging it. Um, Natalie, I'm not sure how to say your name, so I will just call you Natalie, Director of Attractions Engineering Services, said teams have expanded overnight maintenance windows and adjusted parts management strategies on high demand attractions such as Radiator Springs Racers. Wow, I cannot talk today, guys. Okay, so that's good. That's good. The president, he's coming in, he's saying, hey, we have to revise all of this. The rides have to be up. I don't want any downtime. Again, this is just me in my mind how he's probably saying it. Um, but this is good because now you're upkeeping the maintenance even better than ever before. And again, we've had a lot of complaints about the maintenance, right? We've had a lot of complaints about rides not being maintained. Now, of course, I don't think this is the fault of the cast members of the actual maintenance crews that work on overnight or even during the day. I don't know what it could be. I don't know if it's just the lack of parts or the funding for parts or just you're short on manpower. But I think with this is such a push for the maintenance and upkeep of attractions and the most reduced downtime as possible. Disneyland Resort could be looking to hiring more maintenance personnel or cast members. Operational improvements in fiscal year 2025 resulted in an estimated 1.5 million additional guest ride experiences compared with the prior year, she said. Okay, okay, that's cool. According to Disney's internal data, 13% of unplanned downtime in fiscal year 2025 was linked to preventable guest actions, of course, such as loose items falling onto ride tracks or guests standing up in ride vehicles. Okay, so okay, so let's talk about that, right? Um, guess why are you standing up in a ride vehicle? Let me ask that. Now, I get it. I am someone who has some, let's just say, uh, restroom difficulties. And I get it. Sometimes if you have to go, you have to go. So in cases like that, I don't blame you because obviously you don't want to embarrass yourself. But in other cases, if you're just standing up for fun, you're trying to dance on the rod, or you want to go walk around, explore, guys, you can't do that. Like, sit down. One, it's a safety thing. You could get hurt, and two, now when you do that, you're stopped. The whole ride stops, and now you are affecting all the other guests who are waiting in line, who have the lightning lane. Uh, People who are in any type of single rider, and people who are waiting for their lightning lane, return time, and other people on the attraction. You're affecting every. It's a whole chain reaction. You're affecting it because you want to stand up on the ride. Please do not get out of the ride. And the other thing too with loose items falling. Like a lot of times you'll go on Rise of the Resistance, Indiana Jones, Mickey and Minnie's, and you'll see like Mickey ears. You'll see headbands, backpacks, jackets, like shoes, the whole thing. And how people lose their stuff is beyond me. I have no idea how people lose their stuff. I have never lost anything on a no, actually I have. I take that back. I have. So, poo poo on me. Here's a story for you. So, not last year, but 2024, I went to Universal Studios after not having been there for about a decade. I went there with OG55 and another good friend, Theme Park Wizard. The three of us went to Universal, and we went on Flight of the Hippogriff, and I was wearing pants that have like zipper pockets. Now, usually those are pretty reliable, right? But what happened was I had my phone in my regular pocket, not in my zipper pocket. So then, guess what happened? The coaster's going, and boom, boom. We all of us hear the phone fall out like off the seat and just down somewhere. The team members at Universal found it, so kudos to them. But my phone was pretty much destroyed. Um, so I can't say I've never dropped anything off a ride, but one, that didn't shut the ride down. The ride kept going, and two, I never lost like anything of a sizable, right? I never lost headphones, ears, backpacks, or a sweater, nothing like that. Most of the rides at Disneyland, which I love, NDCA, they have little pouches or like even Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, like those transport Jeep vehicles, man, those things are like huge bags. You can put a whole freaking duffel bag in there. It's insane. But most ride vehicles have a place where you can put your belongings. If not, there's lockers on Main Street. There's lockers in the Esplanade, so you're pretty much covered. But again, how people lose their stuff. The only other thing I can think of is like kids taking their parents, their sisters or siblings, ears or phone or backpack, and just whoop, throwing it off the the ride. So yes, I can't believe it that a lot of the downtime is because of guests and their actions. Engineers also tested operational adjustments during the holiday season that allowed the Disneyland Railroad to run a fourth train. Oh, that's interesting. Carrying about 29,000 additional guests over a 10-day period compared with the same stretch the year before. That's cool. I did not know that. That is awesome. And see, again, that improves guest experience. Why? Because you're now taking in more guests from around the station and they're able to get on the train quicker to their destination quicker or just sightsee. And that's awesome. And again, this whole article is all going to be about guest experience. So you will be hearing me say guest experience quite a bit. So here we go. by reconstructing installation schedules, um, for seasonal holidays or seasonal overlays at Haunted Mansion and It's a Small World, the resort added 9 operating days during the most recent holiday season, translating into nearly 200,000 additional ride experiences across the two attractions. So that makes sense because you guys remember when they extended the holiday time for It's a Small World and Haunted Mansion Holiday? People were like, "What's going on?" Usually this stuff is like ends in the first week of January, and then they shut both of the rides down. They revert back to normal. But for the 2025 into 2026, they went down almost the whole month of January, if I believe. So, but yeah, I mean, again, that allows for more people to see it. And I still can't talk. I apologize. Quote, we know that being able to enjoy more attractions in a day plays a big role in how guests feel about their visit. And see, that right there, very, very true. I'm a rides guy. Okay. I do like vibes, but I'm more or less a rides guy, even though I'm local ish. Um, I think a lot of guests, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of visitors, especially, that the more rides you're able to hit in the day, the more successful your day it was, right? Because here's the thing. What's great about Disneyland or the Disney parks is that there's a variety of experiences you can do that's for everybody. You can eat, you can shop, you can see characters, you can see shows like Phantasmic or parades or the Disneyland marching band um or whatever other type of shows that go on a World of Color. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different stuff, and then plus the rides. But I would say the majority of people who go, when I say majority of people, I'm talking about normies and your vacationers, not the hardcore enthusiasts for people watching this, right? Not for the nerds, right? Who are local, who go there for like a churro and like a Dole Whip, get with their ears, to watch the fireworks, and then they dip. Not you guys. A lot of normies and travelers are going to be more focused, okay, on the rides. How many rides can we get in the day? Yeah, we'll eat and we'll might watch a show, but how many rides can we go on? Right? That's the experience they're looking for. That's the value that they're going to judge based off that they're basing their money with, right? Okay, if we're getting like 20 rides or 30 rides in the day, that was really worth the money. If we're only getting like 5 rides because every line is like 3 hours, and these and the park operations aren't running the attractions, in a smooth, fast-paced manner, then it's again hinders the guest experience. At least that's just my opinion. If you have a different one, let me know in the comments below. Um, Leaders also emphasized renewed investment in service culture as the workforce evolves, noting that about 60% of current frontline cast members were hired following post pandemic reopening surge, when training focused heavily on safety protocols. Since then, officials said Disneyland has expanded foundational training and reinforced service expectations. Okay, so let's talk about this, shall we? Um, that was a really interesting piece there because yes, when the parks have reopened from COVID, you know, I mean, obviously we have like the lax tattoos for cast members, right? Even like some hairstyles. They have tried to keep it in line, to still be presentable, but it's not as it was before pre-pandemic. And I'm sure a lot of people notice that. I've heard, from friends of mine, from other people, that even though the cast members are still great and they're awesome, it's not where it used to be. At least that's from what I'm hearing. So sounds like with this, frontline cast members, aka on stage cast members, attractions, custodial, merchandise, FMB, those kind of cast members. Sounds like from what they're saying here in this article that the yes, while training for safety is very important, the guest experience, the face to face, is also very important. Again, going back to guest experience. Um, I'm not sure how to say your name, but I'm gonna call you B. Director of Operations and Integration pointed to an incident last month when a low power issue on the Disneyland monorail affected two trains and left riders stranded for several hours. Okay, yeah. Again, I was talking about just not too long ago about the power in DCA. Again, I know this is Disneyland, but DCA when a bunch of rides go down at the same time. You see it all the time, especially when it's hot. And yeah, just the other month, the monorail, two of them went down, and the Anaheim Fire Department had to come out to backstage of Indy because that's where the one broke down at or stopped, and they were there for several hours. Man, I know, like I think Fresh Baked was had people following this for him, and he was also covering it as well. And people were there for like what 2, 3 hours. That's a long time, man, to be inside a monorail. I mean, if you guys haven't been in our monorail here at Disneyland, I've never been in the one at Walt Disney World, so I can't say. But here at Disneyland, they're not very big inside. You can't just stand up in them. They're pretty small, and they don't really. I don't think ours even have AC. So yeah, that's a huge bummer. I believe firefighters had to carry people out on the ladder down backstage, which is wild. But again, this points to maintenance, right? Focusing on, um, yeah, just maintenance and making sure everything's running smoothly. Um, but yeah, that's insane. She said a cast member provided regular updates over the monorail intercom while crews worked to resolve the problem and was applauded by guests when the trains were evacuated, underscoring how clear communication and empathy can shape how visitors remember a difficult experience. Exactly. Again, I know I keep saying it, but guest experience, guest experience, guest experience. This cast member who was the one in the monorail did an awesome job. Shout out to you. You did great by entertaining the guests, keeping them calm, entertaining them. That was awesome, and that's I think what Disney is looking for. And when this incident happened, it showed them two things. I think it showed them one, our maintenance overall in this park really needs to step it up. Uh, Probably know three things. Two, this is not good for the guest experience because of that. And three, we need to have cast members up to this standard or frontline cast members up to this standard that can help with the guest experience or even improve it, especially in situations like this. Quote, "We know that when guests plan a trip to Disneyland Resort, they are looking for a truly magical experience, and it's our privilege to make them feel welcomed, cared for, and valued so these special moments with our cast members become cherished memories that last long after their visit ends." And exactly, I believe that was always the goal and the intention, right? But I think after COVID, at least from what I heard from a lot of people, that kind of just not went away, but very diminished from what I've heard from, friends and other people going there. And yeah, I think that is it. Yep, that's it. So again, I just want to kind of talk about, oh wait, what's this right here? Sorry guys. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so we already went through all that stuff. But yeah, so that article right there, that was just some of the updates. Let me get this out of here. That was just some of the updates that, or not some, but all the updates that came out. I think it was Thursday, right? I think it was Thursday. And yeah, good stuff. Good stuff overall. I love what I'm hearing. Really improve the quality of guest experience, maintenance, which again will improve guest experience, um, and also getting rid of that 11 a.m. park hopper ordeal, which will improve the guest experience for everybody, not just for locals, but especially for visitors. I know when you go to the park, or even as a local, when you go to the park, you try to plan like a meal here. And if you have a lightning lane, you try to plan one off over here. You're kind of just bouncing back and forth, or you want to bounce back and forth and you can't because you have the freaking 11 a.m. restriction. But I think it's a good slippery slope. Again, a good slippery slope going down the hill from getting rid of the 11 a.m. restriction to hopefully one day getting rid of the reservations. Because I know that's one thing people don't like. And I also want to emphasize too, again, Monsters Inc. is staying until 2027, and Avatar will not be delayed. So that's an awesome update to hear. And here's the I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Avatar. Like I said, I'm not really a huge fan of Avatar myself. It's okay. But the world of Pandora is beautiful. So if we get it, I think everybody should, give this land a chance. Really just give it a chance. I know you may not like the IP, But the Imagineering, I know they're very talented people, and I'm sure that they can make something awesome and amazing. However, everybody at home, what did you think about what we heard today? I'm sure you guys already heard the news. I know I'm coming out with this very, very last uh, minute here, or come just late. So that's my apologies. I do apologize for that. But let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What's your favorite part of this announcement? Um, do you like Monsters Inc? Do you like Pandora? Which one would you rather have? And are you excited or not excited for Pandora coming to DCA? Oh, and also, what do you think about Avengers expansion as well? Because right now that's currently under construction, and I'm very curious to see how these rides are actually going to be. But I'm glad because I do think Avengers Campus really needs it, and I think it's going to flesh out the land as a whole. Because now we'll have a land with 4 attractions. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. But anyways, everybody, thank you so much for watching. And until then, I will catch you guys all on the next episode. See you later.